Hello. Today I'm going to read from My Fun with Reading. This book was printed by the Southwestern Company of Nashville. It's stories about careers. This one, written by Ronald Kidd, it's called The Girl with Two Lives. The year is 1836. In an Indiana frontier village, Sally Johnson sweeps off the porch of the New Eagle Inn. The inn's a friendly place where travelers can stop for food and a night's rest. After sweeping, Sally draws water from the well. Then she goes inside to help prepare the noon meal. The innkeeper, Martha Zimmerman, watches her set the table to make sure things are done properly. In the pantry, Sally slices carrots and potatoes to make stew. She cooks them in a kettle over the fire because there's no stove. There are no electric lights, no refrigerator. If you told her about such things, she would probably laugh and say you've been out in the sun too long. And yet, here's someone who looks very much like Sally Johnson, cutting up vegetables by the light of an electric lamp. Behind her are a stove and a refrigerator. She's wearing jeans and modern-day glasses. When she smiles, we see braces on her teeth. Who is she? She's a girl with two lives. In this life, her name is Penny McDowell. She and her parents live in a suburb of Indianapolis, Indiana. Penny likes rock groups and movie stars. She does homework and watches TV. She plays French horn in the band. And she has one very unusual hobby. Several days a week, Penny puts on rough, old-fashioned clothes and goes to Conner Prairie, a living museum of the American frontier, where she steps into her other life as Sally Johnson, pioneer girl. For Penny, the role of Sally Johnson is more than just a hobby. It's a way of life. She grew up in and around Conner Prairie because her mother worked there, playing the parts of other frontier characters. Even at home, Penny's surrounded by things from the past. There are quilts and antique furniture. There are old clocks and wash basins, tin wash basins. The house itself is over 100 years old. Penny's mother makes all the clothes she and her daughter wear at Conner Prairie. When Penny tries on a dress, you might almost mistake her for Sally Johnson if you didn't notice the stereo headphones. Penny is what's known as an interpreter. She interprets or helps people understand what frontier life is like. It's an important job in a very different type of museum. At Conner Prairie, visitors don't just read or hear about history. They walk down the dusty streets of a frontier town. They explore an authentic barn and schoolhouse and store. Everywhere they go, they brush shoulders with characters from the past. One of them is Sally Johnson. "How much do you charge for lunch?" they ask as she puts on the kettle. "Oh, do you mean the noonday meal?" she says. "Around these parts, we call it dinner. It costs 25 cents, but it's worth every penny." The man enters with his wife and a young son. "What are the beds like?" he asks. "Good and clean. Only a few bed bugs," she says. "We've still got one bed left for tonight. That should do for the three of you." The little girl giggles. "How often do you take a bath?" "Once a week," Sally answers, "whether I need it or not." For these visitors, history may never be the same. To learn about Sally, Penny McDowell goes to the museum library. She reads magazines of the time. She checks out books and articles about 19th century life. She might glance at an information sheet that gives facts about Sally's life. The character of Sally Johnson was made up by the people at the museum, based on their findings about real frontier girls. Sally lives on a farm outside of town with her parents, Luke and Sarah Johnson. Family came to Indiana from Kentucky in 1823. Sally doesn't remember the trip because she was still a baby. Sally works at the Golden Eagle Inn to pay off her father's debt. When she's not at the inn, she helps care for her little brother and sister. She might even take a turn in the fields next to her father and older brother. Life is hard in 1836, but Sally finds time to play, too. Visitors are often surprised to see her running down the road, pushing a metal hoop in front of her. It's a game pioneer children used to play. That's her right there, pushing the hoop. Sally can barely read and write. Still, she sometimes goes to school with the other children in town. All ages attend, from 7 to 17. Waiting at the door is a schoolmaster, Caleb Ferguson. When he's not teaching, he has a business making and repairing harnesses. Mr. Ferguson is a stern but kindly man. He drills the children in reading, writing, arithmetic, and history. After school, Sally runs some errands for Mrs. Zimmerman. This is her favorite part of the day because she gets to visit her friends in town. At Whitaker's store, she buys a few supplies from the clerk, Seth Butcher, then gazes longingly at some rock candy. Before leaving, she takes a moment to watch Katie Bend and Molly Cox play checkers. Up the street is a familiar-looking face. It's Penny McDowell's mother. But to Sally Johnson, this woman is the doctor's wife, Harriet Campbell. Hearing the two of them talk, you would never know that in Sally's other life, they are mother and daughter. Dr. Campbell is out seeing patients today, but Peter Dale is in the office. Peter is the doctor's helper, or apprentice. He's surrounded by strange-looking medical tools and cures of the day. Sally peeks into the Campbell's parlor. There, some young visitors are watching a meeting of the Ladies' Literary Society. These well-dressed women gather once a month to discuss books, magazines, and the latest fashion. As Sally leaves, old Samuel Hastings spots her. Before she can escape, he launches into a story about his adventures in the War of 1812. At the end of the lane, blacksmith Ben Curtis takes a break from the anvil. He gets a drink of water and calls out a greeting to Sally as she walks by. Ben's wife, Mary, asks Sally to come inside and give her a hand. While Mary spins yarn on the spinning wheel, Sally gathers it up, then wraps it around a device known as a nitty-knotty. On her way back to the inn, Sally passes the weaver's house. Inside, museum visitors learn what happens to yarn after it's spun. Using a big wooden loom, Grace Fenton weaves together yarns of different colors to form a rug. Across the way, carpenter Daniel McClure shows how he uses a shaving horse to make a table leg. The children who watch are eager to try it themselves. Conner Prairie is just the place for them. It's called the Pioneer Adventure Area. Here, guests can climb onto a shaving horse to see how it works. They can weave, quilt, spin, dip candles, and make soap. When they finish their activities in that area, they can take a walk along a nature trail or visit an 1823 estate of William Conner, for whose museum is named. Returning to the village in a horse-drawn wagon, guests see Sally Johnson going about her chores at the Golden Eagle Inn. It's been a long day for the hard-working frontier girl. She still has to make the beds and air out the mattresses. Afterwards, she takes a moment to feed the horses. Later that evening, in a very different world, Penny McDowell phones a girlfriend and watches TV. Her mother braids her hair. Then Penny goes off to bed. As she lies in the darkness, she thinks all about her friends at Conner Prairie, and she smiles. Sally Johnson smiles right along with her.